Hi, Drew.
Hi, Anna.
Are you so excited about our field trip today?
I am.
I know. So let's tell the listeners where we're going. So we live near Washington, D.C. And at Washington, D.C. is the National Zoo. And we're going to the zoo.
We're going to the zoo, zoo, zoo. Do you know that song?
No.
It's a Raffy song about going to the zoo.
I love that. What animal are you most excited about seeing at the zoo today?
If I'm honest, I cannot wait to see the birds.
Yeah?
I do love, I'm a bird guy. I wouldn't say like I'm a bird watcher necessarily, but I'm a bird enthusiast.
Nice. Which birds? Like the tropical ones or like the hunter ones?
Well, that's the thing is mostly I see like Virginia birds, but I get to go to the zoo today and see other birds from other parts of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to see the pandas because they're back, baby.
Yeah.
I really can't wait. One place I want to avoid is I don't want to go anywhere near the reptile house.
Oh, you don't like the snakes?
No. They don't have legs, therefore
But
they cannot
slither.
But they cannot be trusted. Nothing without legs can be trusted.
Hard to predict, for sure.
But is there any like animal that you're kind of afraid to see?
Yes.
What?
I have heard that there are lions.
Yes.
And I prefer my lions in animated feature films. I don't know about seeing lions in real life.
You're scared of lions?
Yes. Why wouldn't I be?
Well, I mean, they are kind of scary, but sometimes they're not scary and not mean.
I don't know. I don't know if I trust the enclosure. I don't know if I trust the zookeepers. We might have to steer. Maybe I'll go see the snakes while you go see the lions.
How about on the way to the zoo, we talk about a story from the Bible that involves lions?
Okay, I can handle that.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Daniel and the lion's den today.
I love that story.
All right, let's start the car and go.
From the stories of Noah's Ark and man on the lawn, through the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. Whether you're new to this or an avid Sunday schooler, we'll learn about the Bible just like church,
but even cooler.
And we take what we learn and we use what we find to go into the world and let the light of God shine.
Buckle up, kids.
Minivangelism. It's time to go. Minivangelism. In faith we grow. Show.
Okay, so it's going to take us a while to get there.
Yeah.
Because traffic is really terrible. But Daniel and the lion's den, do you know this story?
I do.
Yeah.
I love this one.
Yeah, it's kind of like a pretty famous Bible story. And we're talking about epic stories this summer. So I'm like, I think this is just a really epic story. Last week we had a fish. This week we have lions. Who knows what the summer is going to bring us?
I can't wait. There are bears. I don't know if there's tigers in the Bible. That would be maybe somebody should write to us and tell us if they know if there's tigers in the Bible.
Yeah, but there are bears.
There are bears.
There are bears. But I want to know, you said you do know the story.
Yes, it's from the Old Testament, and it's from a book named after the guy in the story. It's from the book of Daniel.
That's right. Daniel chapter 6 is where you can find this story. But I always love a song. Have you ever written a song about Daniel and the lion's den?
I dabbled.
Oh, you dabbled. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe you think you can find it somewhere on your phone?
Yes, I brought it. I'm ready to play it for you.
Okay, let's go. Put it on the radio.
Here it is.
A story told since way back when, Daniel and the lion's den. A story told since way back when, Daniel and the lion's den. Before Daniel had any problems, he was an ordinary Jew, going about his business just like me and you. But he was taken from his home, brought to a far-off land, hated for being different. Lord, help us understand. Oh, Lord, deliver Daniel. Watch over Daniel. Oh, Lord, deliver Daniel. We pray. A story told since way back when, Daniel in the lion's den. The king was told to make a law. Only to him could people pray. But Daniel served a mighty God, to whom he prayed 3 times a day. Then one morning he was caught. We know what happened then. They carted him away and put him in a lion's den. Oh Lord, deliver Daniel. Watch over Daniel. Oh Lord, deliver Daniel. We pray. A story told since way back when, Daniel in the lion's den.
They sealed the entrance to the den and waited up all night to see. Then Daniel's voice called out to them. In the morning he was walking free. The Lord had protected him from every jaw and jagged tooth. Still today, just like back then, the Lord protects us, that's the truth. The Lord delivered Daniel, watched over Daniel. The Lord delivered Daniel, still does today. Oh Lord, who delivered Daniel, watch over all your people. Oh Lord, who delivered Daniel, we pray.
A story told since way back when, Daniel in the lion's den. A story told since way back when, Daniel in the lion's den.
Ooh, I like that song.
Yeah, it's a little saucy.
It is a little saucy.
I had a lot of fun with that one, and it ended up becoming like a prayer. And so thanks for giving me a chance to write it.
Yeah, I really liked it a lot. So let's talk about this story though in non-song form. Okay. So Daniel is he is from the kingdom of Judah, right? So he is a Hebrew, he's a part of God's people, but something bad happens. Some other kingdoms come in and destroy Daniel's homeland, and they take him far away. So he goes and he lives in another kingdom. But Daniel is really special. He's like super smart. He's a really nice guy. He's very honest. And the king takes notice of that. And Daniel is so special that he actually gets like promoted. And every time one of the kings either dies or is conquered by another king, like the new king is like, oh, Daniel, yeah, you're going to come work for me too. So Daniel's just an all around great guy. And he can like interpret dreams and like writing on the wall. It's crazy. There's a lot of stories that we'll talk about with Daniel in other episodes.
But he does have some enemies.
He does have some enemies. So there are some people, other leaders in the kingdom that are very jealous of Daniel. And they don't like all of the attention he's getting. And so they try to trap him and get him in trouble with the king. And the problem is they can't find anything wrong with him.
Yeah.
He's just such a good guy. But they notice that Daniel is very religious. And he only prays to the Hebrew God. And which is, you know, as we know him as God.
Yeah, the God of our Bible.
Yes. And so they go to the king and they set a trap. And they go, you know what, king? I think you should pass a law that says nobody can pray to anybody but you for 30 days. Because in that culture, the king was considered a representative of their God. Mm-hmm. So any prayers and petitions you have, you're going to go to the king. And the king is like, okay, sounds good. And so he signs this law. And then Daniel doesn't stop praying to God, because that's in the 10 Commandments, right? Like, you shall not have any other gods, right? So Daniel continues to pray to his God. They see him do it. And so they go to the king and they're like, hey, you remember that law you passed? Well, your boy Daniel broke it. And the other half of the law is if you get caught breaking the law, you get thrown into a den, which is like a hole in the ground filled with hungry lions.
Ugh.
I know.
Yeah.
So
This is my nightmare. This is exactly what I don't want to happen at the zoo today.
okay, well, don't make me mad. So then the king says, the king is like, there's got to be another way. He really doesn't want to do it, but he does it anyway. So they throw Daniel into the pit of hungry lions. And they roll a stone on top of it, and he can't get out. And then the king can't sleep all night. The next morning he goes to like see if Daniel's okay. And he hollers down there and he's like, Daniel, did you make it? And Daniel's like, yeah, I'm fine. An angel showed up and shut the mouths of all the lions. And then they get him out of the den and he's good. He's all better.
It's amazing.
Isn't that such a cool story?
Yes, it's amazing. And then, in fact, the king ends up saying nice things about Daniel's God.
He does. He actually declares that we need to fear Daniel's God, right? Respect Daniel's God.
That's right.
And Daniel continues to be like the third most important person in the kingdom through this king and the next one. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
So on our way to the zoo, it doesn't open for a little while. So I would actually like to stop and talk to a friend of mine.
Who's that?
Her name is Miriam, and she's so cool.
I love that name. I love that kid.
yeah, you might know her. But Miriam, she actually requested this story. This is another story that a kid requested. And I asked her why she loved the story so much. And she said it was because this is the first story in the Bible that she ever heard and that she read in her Bible. And so she loved it. And so I'm going to go and talk to her about it because she knows a lot about the story. And Miriam, side note, Daniel was very brave. Miriam, super brave. Bravest kid I know.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yes. So I'm going to go inside and I need you to do some breathing exercises.
I'm just going to pray for some angels. Because it sounds like angels are key.
Whatever you need to do, I'm going to go talk to Miriam, okay?
Okay.
Okay, bye. Hi, Miriam.
Hi, Miss Anna.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, I am here to talk about a story that you asked for. What story are we talking about today?
Daniel Lion's Den?
Daniel and the Lion's Den. Why do you like this story so much?
I don't know.
Yeah. Is it one of your favorites?
Yeah.
Yeah? Why?
I think it's because it was the first story I ever read in the Bible.
Oh, I love that. That's really cool. What is your favorite part of the story?
Maybe when God saves Daniel.
When God saves Daniel. I like that part too. I like the thought of Daniel being in the lion's den and just like cuddling with the lions. Do you think he cuddled with them?
Maybe not.
Oh, you think he was too scared?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the zoo and seen lions?
I think once.
Uh-huh. What'd you think?
They were kind of cool.
Yeah? That's awesome. All right. So when you read the story of Daniel and the Lion's Den, what are some I wonder questions you had, or what are some things that made you curious?
I wonder how many men got jealous of him.
So how many people were jealous of Daniel? That's a great I wonder question. What do you think?
Like 20 maybe?
You think like 20? So in the story, I was reading the king sets up 120 satraps or satrap. I don't know how to say it. 120 areas. And then he appoints 3 presidents over each one. So that would be 360 people that were all officials. And we don't know how many of them were mad, but there were a lot of people that could have been jealous of Daniel. Have you ever gotten jealous before?
Yeah.
Yeah? What are some things that make Miriam jealous?
When my sister gets a present that I really like.
Oh, and she doesn't share?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about, has anybody ever been jealous of you?
I don't know.
You don't know? Do you think maybe your brother or sister get jealous of you when you get presents?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you share your toys?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Do you ever get jealous enough that you want to throw somebody into a lion's den?
Maybe not.
That's a little extreme, isn't it? So, Miriam, what's another I wonder question you have?
How deep was the lion's den?
How deep? Oh, that's a good question. Have you ever seen a lion's den?
No, not in real life.
Yeah, but it says that he was like thrown down into the lion's den, which would be like a hole in the ground. What do you think? Like, how deep do you think it was?
Enough so that if he like tries to build something, it was like tumble down or something.
So like he can't climb out of it.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be taller than Daniel. And I wonder, like, when you got down into it, like how big it was.
Yeah, like how wide?
Yeah. Was it like a big cave or just like a little room?
Maybe it was kind of big because there had to be like lions in it, and lions are big.
That's true. I have a question. What do you think it smelled like in there?
Lion poop?
What do you think? Do you think it's so? So it probably smelled great in there, right?
No.
No. Okay, cool. Well, that's an interesting. I wonder. Yeah, I think that would be fun to do. Is like draw a picture of Daniel in the lion's den and like see, like what your imagination shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any other I wonder questions?
How many lions were in the den?
How many lions were in the den? Oh, that's another great question. Because I feel like just one would be enough, right? Like if you throw one person into a den with one hungry lion, it would not be a safe place to be.
Yeah.
But it says lion's den, so there's more than one. How many do you think would be in there?
Like 8?
8 lions. Why 8?
I don't know.
That's a lot of lions. Can't fight off that many lions, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it was like boy lions or girl lions?
I think a little bit of each.
A little bit of each? That's cool. How many lions would it take for you, like if we were in this room and the door were to open right now and people started sending in lions, how many lions do you think it would take for you to get scared?
5 maybe?
You wouldn't be scared you would only start getting scared at 5 lions?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
You're like the bravest kid I know. Do you think Daniel was brave?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So whenever we talk about a Bible story, we always say that like God is in every story, right? Or we can see God in every story. What does this story tell us about God?
That he'll always keep us safe.
That he'll always keep us safe. Say more about that.
Even if we're gonna be eaten by giant lions, you can pray, and then you could like shut the lion's mouth so it doesn't eat us.
Yeah. So we don't really encounter lions a lot, do we?
No.
So if God can like close the mouth of a lion and keep us safe, is there something that scares you?
Big dogs.
Oh, you're scared of big dogs? Miriam, I'm scared of big dogs. I'm terrified of them. That's so crazy. So if God can close the mouth of a lion, what do you think he could do with a big dog?
Close its mouth too.
Yeah. Yeah. And he keeps us safe. And God is looking out for us, right? And God wants us to be safe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's something that this story tells us. What is something interesting about Daniel?
That he's brave.
He is brave. What else?
He's always kind.
He's kind. And what does Daniel never stop doing?
Pray to God.
He never stops praying. He never stops praying. Why do you think that is?
Because he's trying not to be mean to people. So he prays to God maybe that he'll not be mean to people.
That's a good prayer. Do you pray?
Sometimes.
Yeah? What do you pray about?
Like that I can be a good person.
Yeah? That's a good prayer. And maybe we could pray not to be scared about stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah? And so Daniel never stopped praying. He wanted to talk to God. And God was there with him, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's time to stump Pastor Drew. So what is your first stump Pastor Drew question?
What was the king's name?
Oh, what was the king's name? That's a good question because there are actually 3 in the story that like Daniel works for. And the third one though is the one that like throws him in the lion's den but then changes his mind. That's a really good question. All right, so what's your second question?
How did they know Daniel was praying?
Oh, like were they spying on him
Yeah.
or following him around? Have you ever wanted to be a secret agent?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like follow people around and spy on them?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got 2 really good questions. Let's see if we can get them with a third one too, right? Because it's not about winning. It's about domination. So, what is your third stump Pastor Drew question?
What was the kingdom that Daniel lived in?
Oh, that's a good question too. I love that question. Those are some good stumpers. You think you're going to get them?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what grade are you in?
First.
I'm telling you, it's the little ones that always get him. The last episode, he didn't get stumped by a kindergartner, and it was like the first time. But first graders also bring it, so I think you're going to bring it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about Daniel and the Lion's Den, Miriam.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so thank you, and thank you for sharing this story with us and suggesting it. I love this story. So it was really nice talking to you.
I was happy talking to you too.
Okay, well, you have a great day, and I'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay.
Bye!
Bye.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Oh my gosh, she is so cool.
Oh, awesome.
She's like I said, she's really brave, and we'll talk about some of the brave stuff she said because she's just a really cool kid. Like, I want her to be my friend so bad, but you have to be really special to be her friend.
Yeah. Some kids are like that.
Yeah. So she had some really good I wonder questions when she was reading the story. And the story is, I mean, it's pretty detailed. It lays it all out there, but she was asking kind of questions that were a little bit more, that just made her curious. So the first question was, how many people were jealous of Daniel?
Ooh. Yeah, that's a good I wonder. I don't think we're told how many people are like making this plan to try to get Daniel in trouble.
Right.
I picture a few powerful people. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's not everybody, and that's an important detail.
Yeah.
That the King Darius, actually doesn't have a big problem with Daniel at all. Mm-hmm. He's got to be convinced that Daniel is somebody to worry about.
Right.
So I don't know how many, but I think it's important that it's not everybody. It's a group that kind of singles Daniel out and sees him as a problem.
Yeah. And Miriam said 20. But then we looked in like the way that the kingdom was structured, right? There was the king, and then there were these, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's like satrap or satrap or whatever.
Satraps,
yeah. And there were like 300 of them, right? So there was a lot of those. But Daniel was a part of like, there were high officials and there were 3 high officials, and Daniel was one of them. So it could be anywhere from like 2 to 360. We're not really sure who all went to the king to ask this. But I just thought that was a really interesting question.
It was.
And especially because like sometimes, when people aren't being very nice to us, or if people are picking on us, even if it's just like 1 or 2 people, it can feel like a lot.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder if Daniel felt attacked.
Yeah.
And alone, especially because these people were not Israelites like him, right? And that was another reason why they were jealous.
Yeah. And if you're Daniel and you've got enemies, it's good to know how many there are.
Yeah.
Like when a ninja walks into a tough situation, the ninja is going to count how many people do I have to take out, The irony is, of course, that Daniel doesn't take them out. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, Daniel just keeps doing his thing. All right, her second question was, how deep was the lion's den?
That's a good question.
Like, it says that they threw him down in there, and he wasn't able to climb out. But
Yes.
like, what did it look like?
I am very curious about how deep the den is at the zoo. And are the lions able to climb out?
No, and I
don't
don't
know
know,
that.
and no.
You don't know.
Well, nobody's gotten out yet.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. When I imagine Daniel's lion's den, I think it must be deep enough for the lions to not be able to get out. And if a lion can't get out, I mean, I think lions, because they're cats, big cats, they can probably climb better than I can. So it's probably deep enough that Daniel can't get out.
Right. Yeah. And too, though, the lions are very hungry. So,
Yeah.
like, they're kind of weak, but still.
But still,
Yeah. And we also wanted to know what it smelled like in there.
like lion.
Which, do you know what lions smell like?
No, but I've smelled cat pee before. And that, even just house cat pee is pretty bad.
Yeah. Miriam
So-
thinks it smelled like poop.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That, and yeah, it's good that this is a podcast because we can talk about it, but none of us actually have to smell it.
No.
No.
I think what's scary about the lion's den is that it's dark.
Yeah.
So you're in there in the dark,
There are no windows.
and there are just lions everywhere.
Yeah. And at best you can smell and hear them,
Yes.
but you can't see where they
And
are.
touch them.
Oh no. Oh no.
All right. So her third question was, how many lions were in the den?
That's a good question too.
And I did a lot of research on lions' dens.
I did too, because I figured this might be something I get stumped on.
Yeah.
And it is not in the Bible.
It's not. So it wasn't a stump question. That's why it was an I wonder question.
Good. And I'm going to say 6.
You think, is that something you read in your,
No,
oh,
that's when I imagine it. There are about 6 lions.
yeah.
1 male lion and 5 female lions, because the female lions are actually the ones that bite more.
Yeah, they are.
I'm not so sure about the zoo trip. Okay. Did you find anything out?
No, Miriam said 8.
Okay.
Miriam
yeah,
was very accurate with her guesses.
of course.
And I mean, being in a pit with just one lion would be bad.
One is too many. One is too many.
But yeah, she said 8. So then I asked her the question, if we were in the room, because where we interviewed, it was kind of like a smaller room. So I'll ask you this question. All right, we're sitting here in this van, okay? If the door to the van opened and people started putting lions in the van, how many lions would make you scared?
1 door. As soon as the door is open, I'm pretty terrified.
Yeah. Do you know what Miriam said?
What'd she say?
5 lions.
She can handle 5?
She said at 5 she'd start to get a little nervous.
Lord, put Miriam in my van, because I cannot handle that.
Yeah, I could see her taking on 4 lions
I
at a time.
I can too.
She's so cool.
She's like a spider monkey. She's
Yeah.
she can handle it.
So those are her I wonder questions. And so we always talk about, what does this story tell us about God? And she had some pretty good insights. Her first was that he will always keep us safe.
I love that.
That he kept Daniel safe in that lion's den. And it wasn't just the lion's den where he was keeping Daniel safe. Daniel was in a faraway land. Daniel was a slave. Daniel was, in a place with people that didn't like who he was based on where he was from. And God was keeping him safe up to that point. And even when he got in the lion's den, God still kept him safe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And like part of what I imagine is how lonely it must have been. I mean, we've read a few stories together where the main character ends up down and out, That makes me think of Joseph. We remember that story where Joseph is thrown into a pit. I remember Jonah from our last episode, where Jonah is down in the belly of a whale. And it seems like the Bible likes to tell stories where people are alone, but not alone.
Right.
That God is still with them, even though they may be in danger or feel lonely.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that she took away from this is that God answers prayers.
Yeah.
That because Daniel never stopped praying.
Right.
He was that was his That was his thing. That was the only thing that they could even trick him on, right? Because they knew if Daniel was going to do something, it was going to pray. He was going to pray.
Yeah, and in the version that I read, there was actually kind of specific, like Daniel would go to his room where there were windows facing Jerusalem and pray 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Like he was disciplined. Like he had a regular practice of praying, even when he was far away from Jerusalem, where the house of God, the temple of God is. Even though he was far away, he would still face that place and pray to God multiple times a day. No matter what kind of day he was having, he still showed up to pray.
Yes. Yeah. And then the third, so then she and I just kind of talked about, nowadays we don't, the fear of lions is not really a thing that people experience unless you are Pastor Drew.
On the way to the zoo where there are lions.
But we talked about like, what are our lions that we encounter every day? And Miriam, even though she's very brave, something else brave that she did is she admitted that she's scared of big dogs. And I'm right there with her. Big dogs scare me.
Oh, yeah. I used to be very, very afraid of dogs. I even had one story where one time when I was riding my bike home from school, I was a kid, and there was a loose dog in the yard, and it started barking, and I was like, whatever, stay in your yard. And it did not stay in the yard.
Oh, my God.
And it started chasing after me. I have never ridden a bike faster in my life. And I ended up the dog was in between me and home. Oh, so no. I had to turn around and flee. And I fled to our church because our church and our house were close together near my school. Yeah. And I got back to the church just panicked, crying, and was like, somebody call my mommy. And so dogs particularly, like, I think that's a good example of things that are that we can be afraid of as much as we might be afraid of a lion.
Yeah. And there are things that are all around us that could make us afraid, right? But knowing that God is there, and when we feel afraid, praying and knowing that God's bigger than that, like that he's bigger than a big dog, that he's bigger than a lion. Yeah. And that he created these things too. That's just something really important to remember. Yeah. That when we get scared, he's right there.
Right.
We just have to pray.
Right.
Yeah.
And like in that particular story, I think it's interesting that like the church is the place that I ran when I was afraid. Like I went to the place where God is.
Yeah.
And I did eventually I made it home.
Yes. So. With a fear of lions.
Right. Right. But now I'm cool with dogs. Yeah. Lions remains to be seen.
I'm still not cool with dogs.
Oh, yeah?
Cool. Yeah, no, but that's another story for another van ride. Okay, so question for you. Have you prayed today?
Yes.
Good, because we're about to stump you.
Oh. Come on, stump angels.
Okay, she's a first grader.
What if the angels come and shut your mouth? I don't know if they're angels that strong.
I'm just a messenger of Miriam at this point.
You're the angel.
I'm the angel of Miriam. I honestly think you're not going to get stumped because you've already answered these questions. All right. Great. What was the king's name?
Where is he? Darius. Darius. Yes. Also the name of the lead singer in Hootie and the Blowfish.
I love that. Yes. Yep. Shout out Darius Rucker. All right. So Daniel served under 4 kings. Can you name all of them?
Oh my gosh. I can name. Yep.
Okay. Go.
I think I can.
Go.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yep.
Balthazar.
No,
I got that wrong.
Close, but no.
It's like Belteshazzar or something like that. There's another one. No?
You're circling the drain, buddy.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll come back to that one.
Okay.
Then Darius.
Yeah.
And then Cyrus.
Yeah. The second one's Belshazzar. Yeah.
I said th instead of sh, and you're not going to give it to me?
You said Balthazar.
Okay.
And it was Belshazzar.
Okay.
Ask King Belshazzar if you were cool with him being called Balthazar.
Pass.
Okay. All right. Second question. How did they know that Daniel was praying after the law was passed?
Oh, I noticed this detail because I thought somebody would try to stump me.
Yeah.
There in his room there were windows. I even think it's 3 windows.
Yeah.
3 windows facing Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. And they saw him praying in the window.
How many times?
3 times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, good. Well, I think I did get stumped, but maybe just a quarter stump.
Well, there's another question.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The name the kings was actually my question.
Oh, that was angels. Shut her mouth. All right.
Okay, third question. What kingdom were they in?
Oh, they were in the kingdom of Babylon.
Yes.
Yes. This was part of the time when we have a lot of stories that were written down while people were, the word is exiled.
Yes.
In Babylon.
So, yes, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to that.
Okay.
Because by the time Darius came around, Babylon had been conquered. So Darius conquered the Babylonian king.
Yeah.
So what kingdom were they in?
The Chaldeans. No, the Chaldean gods is who they were supposed to pray to. Hold on. Persians.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Medes and the Persians.
The Medes and the Persians. Oh my gosh. These listeners don't care about this stuff, Anna.
But I do.
I know.
I care about all these things.
No mercy in the stump chair.
No. So anyway, Miriam was just the coolest, and I really liked talking to her.
Congratulations to Miriam.
Yeah.
With Anna's help, you got me on one part of a question. and thanks a lot, angels.
Yes. So what are your takeaways from this story?
I think Miriam's got it right, that in this story, Daniel is protected by God. Mm-hmm. And it tells us that God is a protector, mm-hmm. Especially in times of fear and danger.
Yeah.
And that's part of the good news of the story to me. What about you?
Yeah, I think that I like how Daniel responds to everything going wrong. You brought up Joseph, right? How Daniel being taken from his home, being put in a foreign land, all of these people being jealous of him, all these people passing laws against him. Like, just time and time again, Daniel knew that God was with him. And so he didn't let that get him down. Mm-hmm. And he didn't walk away from God. He easily could have done that, and he didn't. And I just think that Daniel's strength is really important.
Yeah.
Also, we like to find like Easter eggs throughout the Bible, right? So what I thought about is when they throw him in the den, they place a stone on top of the den. And then the next day, they roll the stone away. And Daniel's like, oh, yeah, there were angels down here that shut the mouths. And it just made me think of Easter. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we've already made the connections to the story of Joseph, who was thrown in the pit and then made it out. Mm-hmm. And those connections with that story to the story of Jesus. And there are plenty of connections between this story and the story of Jesus as well. Yeah. All the way down to a pit or a grave that a stone is rolled in front of and sealed even. Mm-hmm. But then he comes out alive.
Yeah.
Big difference is that Jesus actually did die.
Right.
So I think given what Miriam said, that like God always protects us, part of the question that comes to mind is like, but so then why do we still get hurt?
Right.
Like if God is always protecting us, and the story of Jesus actually adds on to that story, mm-hmm. that God's protection of us is still possible even after death.
Yes.
That Jesus seems to have fallen to the lions.
Yeah.
Except it wasn't lions; it was a cross.
Mm-hmm.
And God still raised him from the dead, so that even death is not too big of a thing for God to handle mm-hmm. in the end. One other cool thing about Daniel is it's clear that God wants to keep Daniel alive.
Yeah.
And part of where this story falls in the whole story of the Bible is that while Daniel and other Jews are in Babylon and then Persia, part of what's scary in the story is these are God's people, and are they going to survive? Mm-hmm. And part of the prophets, the people who speak for God at the time are saying is, yes, you will survive. Even if there's only one of you left, God will not abandon God's people. And in this part of the story, it's almost like Daniel is that one that is left.
Yeah.
The one that has kept praying the whole time. The one that that still knows and loves this God, even when it's against the law to do so. And that's the one that is protected. And then after this story in the book of Daniel, Daniel starts talking about the future and making a lot of promises about where this is going to go. So in the middle of this scary time, scary for Daniel and scary for God's people in the Bible, Daniel is the one who says everything's going to be okay. And part of what Daniel says is everything's going to be okay because another king is coming.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the whole Bible tells us that the other king that is coming is Jesus, who will show us that God is even more powerful than death.
Yeah.
And that God keeps promises.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that Daniel comes at a time when things are bad. And from that point in the story, God and Daniel start making promises about the future. And I think that's part of what the Bible wants to give to us is hope for a future that we can remember even and especially when things are bad or scary.
Yeah. That's so cool.
I love it.
I love that. All right. So we are in line. Traffic is bad, trying to get into the parking lot.
I don't even mind the traffic right now.
I think we should pray.
Okay.
And then we're going to go to the Lions first.
Okay.
I think you can do it.
You know, there's another song that has to do with this story
Okay.
that I think I will sing.
What's that?
I might not sing it on the air, but there's an old spiritual
Yeah?
in American history when there were people who were enslaved. They started writing songs about God. And one of the songs that they wrote says, "Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? Deliver Daniel, deliver Daniel. Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? And why not every man?" So the song remembers that Daniel was delivered from the lions.
Yes.
And asks the question, so why wouldn't God deliver you too?
That's so beautiful.
So that'll be I'll just hum that as we near the lions
As we near the cage with the pit of lions.
that I could fall into. No one's fallen into yet.
No.
Okay.
Okay. I have a baby leash from my daughter, and so we'll just put the backpack leash on you so that way if you fall, then we can just pull you out.
All right.
Sound good?
I will pray. Listeners, pray for me too.
Yes. And if Drew is here in the next episode, then you know he made it.
Don't say that. That's terrifying.
Oh my goodness. Well, next time you see lions or you watch a movie with lions or next time you pray, remember the story.
Yeah.
And then next time you encounter something that's scary, like your own personal lion's den, remember the story and remember that God is with you.
Yeah. You could even, I think, the name of the story, Daniel and the Lion's Den, it's kind of famous. Mm-hmm. And you could even change the name in the lion in the story. So instead of like Daniel and the Lion's Den, it could be Miriam at the dog park.
Yes.
Or whatever your name is and the thing that you're afraid of today.
Yes.
That you can remember that God sees you, God is with you, and that it is God's plan to protect you.
Anna and the dark basement. That's
there you
mine.
go. Yeah, Drew and the unfinished to-do list.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here on Minivangelism. Parents, don't forget that we have a companion episode called The Driver's Seat, where we talk about the same story without the kids in the car. If you have any story suggestions or if you would like to be interviewed for Minivangelism, please send us an email to minivangelism@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media. We are on Instagram @Minivangelism, and we have a Facebook page now.
Yay.
So you can find us on Facebook as well. Just search Minivangelism and there it will be. But please, we just ask that you guys like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Share the podcast with your friends. And yeah, we just love hearing from you guys. All right, Drew, we're here. We're parked. I've got the baby leash. We're good. All right, bye, friends. Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are hosted by Anna Burrell and Drew Colby. Theme song written by David Burrell and produced by Evan Setzer. The theme song was performed by David Burrell, Drew Colby, and Evan Setzer. Podcast, sound design, and editing done by David Burrell. Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are a ministry of Grace United Methodist Church in Manassas, Virginia.
For more information, check out umcgrace.org.